You being a professional athlete, man, how do you deal with the pressure of having to perform at an all-time high all the time?
It's definitely hard, just because you can worry about what other people think a lot, and that's kind of something that I fell into early in my career, was just worrying and seeking for everybody else's approval instead of being the person that would make me happy. You know, becoming a player that I envisioned myself to be, not what everybody else envisioned. And once I realized that, it became a lot easier for me to go through day-to-day life of being an NBA player, going from game to game, playing in front of hundreds of thousands of people. I always remembered that as long as I thought great of myself and I was moving forward the way that I thought things should be going, then I shouldn't be worried about what everybody else thought. So,
just to add on to what Josh was saying, I think you're not going to be able to find that unique thing about you if you're always worried about what somebody else is doing. You know what I mean? Everybody's path and journey is just unique to them, and it's not a competition. It's about finding self, knowledge of self, learning self, and being able to identify with the things that can be improved upon. And if you can improve upon those things, then everything will improve. You know what I mean?
When you talked about pressure, are there times in your life where you felt pressure or felt that you were under immense pressure? And how did you deal with it?
I felt like sometimes a load was on my shoulders when it came to just academics, because there was no one really else succeeding on my mom's side of the family, so I felt like there was a lot of pressure on me to be like the first one to really graduate high school in that sense.
Really, it's with my family. I have a lot of pressure not trying to disappoint my parents or my brother. Like last night, me and my brother were talking about if I wanted to go to college, not just to be successful. And I told him I'm already successful, you know, I'm already going at a good pace. You know, it's up to me if I wanted to go to college or go to college later on in life. I don't have to go right after high school. And really, it's like he was a little irritated about it, trying to pressuring me kind of like, and that's something I have to explain to my parents, that I don't have to be pressured into going right after high school. I can figure out what I want to do, even though I already know, but have the time to prepare myself for the atmosphere. So that's a lot of pressure on me sometimes.
I love that.
Call that a gap year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel pressure like to do good in academics because my brother, he has ADHD, and it's hard for him to focus and do well in school. My dad always tells me if I do good, then he'll look up to me to do good, because I'm his big brother. So I just feel like if I do good, he has to do good also. So I can't slip up and do anything bad around him.
Is that a lot of pressure on you? Like, how do you deal with that?
Yes, because I feel like if I slip up, he's gonna feel like he can slip up too.
It sounds like it's a discomfort. It's not a comfortable feeling at all. Do you talk to anybody about that discomfort?
No.
So how do you deal with it?
I don't. I just pass it to the side.
How long have you been feeling this pressure?
He got diagnosed with ADHD about a year ago, a couple months after my mom passed.
You feel like you have anybody that you can talk to?
I do, it's just I don't.
That was one of the things that we wanted to create here, was this safe opportunity and safe space. And even though, you know, the camera's on and the lights are on, this is real. And we're not doing this for show. So if it is an opportunity, even right now or even after when the cameras go off, if you do need somebody to talk to, I'll stand up and be that person. I'm sure anybody else here will be that person also. Because we're not gonna leave today without extending that arm and saying that we're here for you. And you should be able to talk to somebody at any time about anything you need to have talked to.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. About pressure, anybody else dealing with pressure? I mean, you talked about what?
The pressure to be like the good child, like that parent. Like every parent got that one child. It's like you can flex, you can show that everybody. And for me, I feel like my mom, she wants me to be that, the one I can flex about grades, about talent, scholarships, all of that, and want me to push myself to that limit so she can show me off. Since my other brothers couldn't accomplish that. And she's kind of like, I'm her last hope, which is kind of like a lot.
That's pressure. That's pressure.
That's kind of like how I am, because, you know, my granddad says like, he kind of wants that resume where it's like, there's not really like stamps or proof. It's like sometimes they're like, I can get my stamps of approval by just being myself. You know, most colleges accept you for just being honest with them. Would you rather be fake to them, say like, oh, I did all this, but I did it for like 2 weeks? I'd rather them be honest and like, I like video games and I like the story behind it, which is why I want to become a film and director. And that kind of put pressure on me where it's like, now I'm doing things just to be successful. And it's like, no, truthfully, I won't feel happy with this because it's not really my dream.
I feel pressure when it's like, I know like if I do things, my little brother or little sister, they'll do it behind me. Like, say if I do something bad, then they'll think like, oh yeah, I gotta do this since my big sister did that. That's like, it's hard for me because if I do something, they're gonna follow me. Or if I do something, they're gonna think they can do it too.
And they see everything.
Trust me, they see everything. The baby. How do I know? I'm the baby of the family, or the youngest. And the youngest seem to be able to spread their wings and fly, where the oldest seem to have salt on their tail and they gotta walk a fine line. But at a certain point, you have to just go ahead and be yourself. Accept your own and be yourself. That in and of itself will free you. You know, we all of us got stories that we can tell. In the positions of the families that we're in. You know, I got 5 sons, and I did put the pressure on them, and I regret it because I told my oldest son that he's responsible for the one up under him, and the other one is responsible for the one up under him all the way down the line. And I told him, if the one under you gets in trouble, I'm not punishing him, I'm punishing you. So that put pressure on him, but it took a little bit of pressure off of me because I distributed the responsibility. And I wanted to teach my son responsibility, but at the same time, it's a balancing act because you have to allow your child to be themselves. And we can't be parents trying to live vicariously through our children. And oftentimes when the parent didn't meet their successful mark in life, they push their children to be more successful than them, not for the child's sake, but for themselves. They want to live vicariously through their children, but we have to allow our children, we have to free them up, you know. And unfortunately in the Black community, you know, we have a lot on us. It's a lot on the Black children. And you know, it's like, if you're not successful, it's your fault. You should pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, but hell, they ain't got no boots. So at the end of the day, we need to create an environment for our children to grow. You put the child in an environment where they can grow and they will flourish. But we put the pressure on the children to be something that we weren't, and that's not healthy at all. You know, so we as grown-ups, or we as adults, we need to grow up and understand that that's your child to raise, but it's not your child to control. And that's a big difference. It's a big difference.
You know, it's interesting, you know, when I work with children, adolescents, and I see, you know, anxious people who are, you know, kids who are under stress, and some parents who put them under stress. And sometimes I tell parents and the kids, I want you, if you're 13 years old, I want you to deal with 13-year-old stressors. You know, whether it's, you know, I got to get in when the street lights come on, or I got to take care of my schoolwork, rather than, you know, how these bills gonna be paid, or how's my mama doing, is she in good health, and all of these other things. I want them to worry about 13-year-old things, because those 13-year-old things are doable to 13-year-old kids. Those other things that are outside of, you know, your control or your ability or what should be expected of you, that's too much. That's when you become overwhelmed, you know, with things. Now, I heard a couple of you all talk about, you know, being oldest and sort of feeling this responsibility for your siblings. You know, that is a challenge, but it's also, believe it or not, once again, I want to put a spin on this. It's a privileged position, because I had an older brother. I'm third in a line of 4. And my brother made a way. He showed the way, showed the path You know, I had a mother and a father in the home, but I couldn't relate to my father because he did these things 30 years ago. But my brother, I was watching his steps day by day. And I was like, if he can do it, he set this path, I can, walk this path too. And because he was able to do so, I revere him. Me and my brother, we're both adults, but I revere him because of that. So you're in a privileged position. I'm jealous because of that position. You're in a privileged position. It has its challenges, but also has its rewards too.